Today's story is about a guy who spent 12 years being the foundation of his entire household, paid every bill, covered his father-in-law's medical expenses out of pocket, kept everything running while his wife explored yoga retreats and photography exhibits. And then one night, over dinner, she casually told him she'd found her soulmate. Someone genuine. Someone who doesn't care about material things. A freelance photographer she'd known for 12 days. 12. She expected him to just keep funding her life while she figured out her feelings. What she didn't expect was that he'd already picked up the phone. And what happened next? Chef's kiss. My wife of 12 years called another man, her soulmate, over dinner. She expected me to keep paying for everything. I made one phone call and watched her world collapse. 12 years. That's how long Denise and I had been together when she told me she'd found her soulmate. And she didn't do it in some quiet, private moment either. No, she announced it over dinner like she was telling me about a new recipe she found on Pinterest. His name is Oliver, she said, cutting into her chicken. He just gets me, you know? In ways you never could. I set down my fork carefully. Gets you, huh? She sighed like I was already proving her point. He listens. He understands what I need emotionally. And before you say anything, he's not after money. He doesn't care about material things. He's genuine. Genuine. That word just sat there between us like a bad check. So you've been seeing someone, I said. Not really a question. It's not like that. We haven't done anything physical. It's deeper than that. It's a connection on a soul level. She looked at me then, and I could tell she actually believed this. I think I need to explore this, see where it goes. While we're still married, I'm being honest with you about my feelings. Isn't that what you always wanted? Communication? I almost laughed. Communication. Right. 12 years of me working 50-hour weeks at the consulting firm, while she found herself through yoga retreats and expensive hobby after expensive hobby. Ceramics. Watercolor. A brief obsession with learning Italian that lasted exactly until the Duolingo streak broke. 12 years of me covering her father's medical bills when his insurance wouldn't, and not once complaining about it, because that's what you do for family. 12 years of joint credit cards that only she seemed to use. I once pulled up a statement that had 11 charges from the same boutique in a single month. 11. I didn't even know they were open that many days. But I didn't say any of that. Not yet. Tell me about him, I said instead. She brightened immediately. He's a freelance photographer. Very artistic. He lives simply, doesn't need much. That's what I admire most. His authenticity. He's shown me that there's more to life than just accumulating things. I nodded slowly. And he knows you're married? Of course. I've been completely transparent with him. He respects that we need to handle this maturely. Maturely, I repeated. She reached across the table and actually touched my hand. I know this is hard, but I need you to understand. This isn't about you failing. Some people just aren't meant to be together forever. We had our time. Had our time. Past tense. Like 12 years was just a phase she'd outgrown. Does he know about your father's situation? I asked. She pulled her hand back. What does that have to do with anything? Just curious if genuine, non-materialistic Oliver knows that your dad's treatment costs run about $8,000 a month? Or that I've been covering it for 3 years? Her jaw tightened. That's completely separate. You're trying to make this about money. I stood up from the table. I need to make a call. We're in the middle of a conversation. I know. I'll be right back. I walked into my office and closed the door. My attorney, Mr. Walsh, answered on the second ring. I need you to do 3 things tomorrow morning, I said quietly. Close all joint credit lines. Cancel the automatic payments for her father's medical expenses. And start the paperwork to remove her from the property deed. There was a pause. That's aggressive. What happened? She found her soulmate. Someone genuine who doesn't care about money. Another pause. The house is solely in your name due to her credit issues, correct? Correct. Then legally we can proceed. Credit lines will take 1 business day. Medical payments I can stop immediately. The deed situation, about a week for paperwork. Perfect. Are you sure about this? No cooling off period? I thought about Denise in the next room, probably checking her phone for messages from Oliver. About how she just referred to our 12 years together in past tense. about how she actually expected me to finance her journey of self-discovery with another man. I'm sure, I said. Very sure. When I came back to the dining room, she was clearing the plates. Everything okay? Fine. Just handling some business. She smiled. Small, almost pitying. You always were so focused on work. That's part of what I'm talking about. Oliver and I, we talk about philosophy, about art, about what really matters. Sounds deep. Don't be sarcastic. I'm trying to be honest with you. I appreciate that, I said. And I meant it. Her honesty was making this so much easier. Hold on. For the listeners, this is me jumping in, not the OP. I need you to sit with what just happened here. This woman looked her husband dead in the eyes, told him she's emotionally involved with a freelance photographer she met 12 days ago, and then had the audacity to ask him for communication. That's like setting someone's house on fire and then asking why they're being so dramatic about the smoke. She's out here acting like she's in an indie film about finding yourself in Tuscany, except the plot twist is she's funded entirely by the guy she's replacing. Princess Soul Connection over here doesn't realize she just activated the final boss. Anyway, what comes next is beautiful. The next 48 hours were interesting. I went to work like normal, came home like normal, made dinner, watched TV, existed in the same space as Denise while she floated around the house with this new lightness about her. Like someone had lifted a weight off her shoulders. Which I guess they had. The weight of pretending she was happy with me. She was texting constantly, smiling at her phone, taking calls in other rooms with the door closed. She even rearranged the living room bookshelf on Tuesday night for no apparent reason, humming something I didn't recognize. I sat there eating leftover pasta and watching her move furniture around like she was redecorating for a new chapter of her life, which I guess she thought she was. I didn't ask questions, didn't need to. Wednesday evening, she came into the living room wearing a new dress. One I hadn't seen before and definitely hadn't paid for. Actually, wait, I probably did pay for it. Shared credit card, whatever. I'm meeting some friends for dinner. Have fun, I said, not looking up from my laptop. You're not going to ask who? Nope. She hovered there for a second, probably expecting a fight. When she didn't get one, she left. I heard her car pull out of the driveway. 30 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Mr. Kent, this is Kelly from Mercy General Hospital. I'm calling about the account for Mr. Palmer, Denise's father. Right on schedule. We show that the automatic payment for this month was declined. The balance is currently $8,200. Can we update the payment information? No, I said. I'm no longer responsible for that account. Silence. Then, I'm sorry, but without payment, we'll need to discuss alternative arrangements for Mr. Palmer's care. You'll need to speak with his daughter, Denise Kent. I can give you her cell number. I rattled it off. Heard the woman typing. Thank you. We'll reach out to her directly. I hung up and went back to my work. Denise would be getting that call soon, probably right around the time she tried to pay for dinner with her credit card. Sure enough, an hour later, my phone exploded. 3 missed calls, 4 texts. Call me. Why aren't you answering? The hospital just called. My card isn't working. I finished the email I was writing, saved it, then called her back. What is going on? Her voice was shrill. Background noise said she was still at the restaurant. My card was declined in front of everyone, and then the hospital called about Dad saying, "You stopped the payments." That's correct. What do you mean that's correct? You can't just stop paying for his treatment. Actually, I can. It was my money paying for it. But he needs that facility. They're threatening to transfer him. Then you should probably figure out payment. I don't have $8,000. That's unfortunate. Long pause. I could hear her breathing, trying to control herself. Is this because of Oliver? This is because I'm reorganizing my finances. You're punishing me. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm simply no longer financing certain expenses. You're an adult. Your father is your responsibility. Our responsibility. We're married, are we? Because 2 days ago you told me you'd found your soulmate. That we'd had our time. Past tense. Silence. I need to go. Her voice was different now, smaller. We'll talk about this when I get home. Sure. Yo, time out. Let me get this straight. She had a man covering $8,000 a month for her father's medical care, on top of every other bill in that household. And her response was to go find a photographer who lives simply and call it growth. That's like burning down your house because you saw a cute tent on Instagram. And now she's at a restaurant. Card declined. Oliver probably across the table pretending to check the dessert menu while internally Googling how to leave a dinner without paying. She thought she was pulling a power move. My guy was playing chess. She was playing Guess Who and kept flipping down her own pieces. It gets worse, trust me. She came home 2 hours later, stormed into the living room where I was reading. Some old paperback I'd found in the garage. Hadn't had time to read in years because I was always handling something for someone. Oliver had to pay for dinner. That's awkward. Don't. Just don't. She paced in front of me. You need to fix this. The credit cards, Dad's treatment, all of it. No. What do you mean, no? I set my book down. Looked at her directly. I mean, no. I'm not fixing anything. You want to explore your soulmate connection? Great. Do it on your own dime. That's not fair. Fair. You announced you're emotionally involved with another man and expect me to keep funding your life. How exactly is that fair? It's not about the money. Then it shouldn't be a problem. She stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. Like the guy she'd been married to for over a decade had suddenly become someone she didn't recognize. You're being cruel. I'm being clear. There's a difference. My father could die without proper treatment. Then you should probably get a job that covers his expenses. Or maybe genuine, non-materialistic Oliver can help out. Her face flushed. This isn't about Oliver. Then what is it about? It's about you being vindictive, controlling. I stood up slowly. I'm going to bed. You should probably call the hospital back. They mentioned something about needing a decision by Friday. She grabbed my arm. Please. I know you're upset, but Dad didn't do anything wrong. He's sick. I looked at her hand on my arm, then at her face. You're right. He didn't do anything wrong. His daughter did. She decided her emotional journey was more important than the stability he depended on. That's on her, not me. I pulled my arm free and went to bed. She didn't follow. I heard her on the phone in the living room for hours, calling her sister, her mother, probably Oliver. I didn't care. 12 years I'd been the solution to every problem, the safety net for every whim. Not anymore. Denise wanted to find herself? She was about to discover that finding yourself costs money, and hers had just run out. I turned off the light and went to sleep. Best I'd slept in weeks, honestly. Pause for a second. I want to do a quick psychological breakdown of what's happening with Oliver here, because it's textbook. This dude showed up at a photography exhibit, probably wearing a turtleneck and carrying a journal with 3 pages of actual writing in it, and sold Denise on a fantasy of authentic living. That's not a relationship. That's a fire festival brochure. Big promises. Zero infrastructure. And here's the thing about people who brag about not caring about money. They always say that from inside somebody else's house. Oliver is basically a screensaver. He looks nice, does absolutely nothing, and disappears the second you touch any button, which is exactly what's about to happen. Friday morning, Denise was already awake when I came downstairs. Sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop and papers spread everywhere. Looked like she hadn't slept. Morning, I said, pouring coffee. I've been looking at the deed for the house. Her voice was flat. It's only in your name. Correct. Why? I leaned against the counter. You remember when we bought this place? Your credit score was 490. The bank wouldn't approve a joint mortgage, so we put everything in my name. That was 8 years ago. My credit's better now. Is it? She closed the laptop. Hard. You know what I think? I think you planned this. Kept everything separate so you could control me. I kept everything separate because that's what the bank required. If you want to rewrite history, go ahead. But the facts are the facts. So what happens now? You just kick me out? That depends. On what? On what you want to do. You want to stay married, we can discuss working on things. You want to pursue your soulmate, we proceed with separation. Your choice. She laughed. Bitter. After you cut off my father's medical care? I didn't cut off anything. I stopped paying for it. There's a difference. We stared at each other across the kitchen. This woman I'd built a life with, who was now looking at me like I was a stranger. I talked to a lawyer yesterday, she said. Good. You should. That surprised her. You're not worried? About what? I haven't done anything illegal. The house is mine. The accounts are separate. You're welcome to pursue whatever legal options you want. Community property. I'm entitled to half of everything. Feel free to try that argument. My attorney says it's more complicated when one spouse has been financially dependent for 12 years while actively pursuing an emotional affair. Her face went white. You're going to make this ugly. I'm not making anything ugly. I'm protecting what I built, what I worked for. You want out? Fine. But you leave with what you brought in. That night, I was eating dinner alone when she came back downstairs. Can we talk? Sure. She sat across from me. I spoke with Oliver today, told him about everything that's happening. And he thinks maybe we moved too fast, that I should focus on my family situation right now. I almost laughed. Almost. How convenient. What's that supposed to mean? It means your genuine, non-materialistic soulmate disappeared the second your financial situation got complicated. Interesting timing. He's being considerate. He's being smart. He signed up for a married woman with resources, not a separated woman with problems. You don't know him. I don't need to. I've seen this before. People who talk about authenticity and not caring about material things, they're usually the first ones gone when money gets tight. She was quiet for a long time. What do you want from me? Nothing. I want you to figure out what you want and then deal with the consequences of that choice. And if you want to fix us, then you need to prove it. And I don't mean words. I mean actions. Like what? Like cutting contact with Oliver. Like getting a job. Like taking responsibility for your own expenses. Like showing me you value this marriage more than your journey of self-discovery. She looked down. That's a lot. It's called being an adult in a partnership. I've been doing it for 12 years. Your turn. I need time to think. Take all the time you need. But understand something. I'm not waiting around while you figure it out. Monday, papers are being filed. You can either be part of the solution or part of the past. She stood up. You've changed. No, I said. I just stopped pretending I didn't notice how one-sided things had become. Wait. Did she really just say, you've changed? That's incredible. This man has been exactly the same person for 12 years. Paying bills, covering medical expenses, holding down the household. And the moment he stops letting her treat him like an ATM with feelings, suddenly he's changed. That's some Olympic-level gaslighting right there. If rewriting history was a video game, Denise would have a speedrun record. And meanwhile, where's Oliver? Gone. Vanished like a Snapchat message. DJ Soul Connection ghosted her the second the credit card stopped clearing. But sure, Denise, tell us more about authentic living. This next part involves the sister, and honestly, it's my favorite section. Get comfortable. Monday came faster than Denise expected. I left early, signed the papers at Mr. Walsh's office, grabbed a coffee on the way out, black, no sugar, the way I'd been drinking it for years because Denise always said flavored coffee was basic, and I guess that stuck, and went to work like any other day. Because for me, it was. I'd made my decision, executed it, moved forward. Denise didn't know yet. She found out when a process server showed up at noon. That evening, I came home to find her sister Megan sitting in my living room. Denise was on the couch, arms crossed, looking defiant. There was a half-eaten box of takeout on the coffee table. They'd been here a while. We need to talk, Megan said. I set my briefcase down. About what? About what you're doing to my sister and our father. I'm not doing anything to your father. I'm simply no longer paying for his care. There's a difference. He's dying. I'm aware. And I'm sorry about that. But his medical expenses aren't my responsibility. Megan stood up. She was taller than Denise, sharper. You were fine paying for 3 years. What changed? Your sister found her soulmate, decided our marriage was past tense. That changed my willingness to fund her life. So you're punishing a sick old man because of relationship problems? I'm establishing boundaries. If that looks like punishment, maybe examine why Denise's choices affect your father's care in the first place. Denise finally spoke. Tell her about the divorce papers. Megan turned. What divorce papers? He filed this morning. Didn't even tell me. I found out when a process server showed up. You knew it was coming, I said. I told you Friday. Monday, papers would be filed. My timeline didn't change. I thought we were going to talk more. We did talk. You said you needed time to think. I gave you the weekend. Megan looked between us. This is insane. You're throwing away 12 years over what? Some emotional connection she had with someone? Had. Past tense. Interesting, I said. And I'm not throwing anything away. I'm ending something that was already over. Denise just didn't want to admit it until the money stopped. Denise's voice cracked then. I wasn't replacing you. I fell in love. In 12 days, I said. You met Oliver 12 days ago at some photography exhibit. I checked the calendar. 12 days and you fell in love. But 12 years with me wasn't enough to earn basic honesty. 12 days, Megan. That's not even enough time to finish a book. Megan looked at Denise. 12 days? You told me you'd known him for months. Denise didn't answer. And right there, that silence, told me everything I needed to know about how honest she'd been with her own family. She'd lied to Megan too. Probably told Oliver some edited version of things as well. Everybody got a different story. I was apparently the only one who got the truth, and only because she thought I'd just accept it. They argued for another 20 minutes. I held my ground. Eventually, Denise went upstairs and came back with 2 suitcases. She wouldn't look at me. I'll be back for the rest of my things. Fine. Let me know when so I can be here. They left. The house went quiet. I stood in the living room for a while, just breathing in the silence. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. This is Oliver. We should talk. I stared at it for a long moment, then blocked the number. Didn't need to talk to him. He was irrelevant. Had been from the start. This was never about him. It was about Denise choosing to look elsewhere while standing on the foundation I'd built. I made dinner, ate in silence, watched TV alone. Should have felt lonely. It didn't. It felt like peace. First time in years the house was actually quiet. No phone calls in other rooms, no sudden mood shifts, no tiptoeing around someone else's emotional weather. Just me and the sound of whatever was on the Nature Channel. The next morning I got a call from Denise's mother. I let it go to voicemail. Then her aunt called. Then 2 of Denise's friends, women I'd met maybe 3 times total at various dinner parties over the years. I didn't answer any of them. By Wednesday, the narrative had fully spread. I was the villain, the cold, calculating husband who abandoned his sick father-in-law and threw out his wife over a minor indiscretion. A minor indiscretion. That's what they were calling it. Finding your soulmate while married is apparently just a little oopsie now. I didn't bother correcting it. People believe what they want. The ones who mattered knew the truth. 3 weeks into the separation, reality had fully settled in for Denise. I knew because Megan called me. Actually called, not texted. She got a job, Megan said without any preamble. Good for her. At a grocery store, stocking shelves. $22 an hour. That's decent pay. She's working 40 hours a week and can barely cover rent for the room she's renting. Meanwhile, Dad had to be moved to a state facility. Do you know what those places are like? I imagine they're adequate. Adequate. Her voice was hard. He cries every time we visit. Says he wants to go home, but there is no home anymore. That's not my problem. How can you be so cold? I'm not cold. I'm just no longer responsible for fixing problems I didn't create. Denise didn't make a mistake. She made a choice. Multiple choices. And now she's dealing with the consequences. That's not cold. That's life. She hung up on me. I went back to my dinner. Actually, back up. I forgot to mention this. The thing nobody wanted to admit was that Denise was learning what most people already know. That bills need to be paid. That healthcare costs money. That stability requires actual work. She'd been insulated from all of that for 12 years. Now she wasn't. And everyone wanted to blame me for removing the insulation instead of questioning why she needed it in the first place. A month in, Mr. Walsh called with an update. Her attorney is pushing for spousal support. They're arguing she gave up career opportunities to support your household. What career opportunities? She never had a career. That's their argument. That she could have developed one if she hadn't been focused on being a supportive spouse. A supportive spouse who was looking for a soulmate while I paid for everything. We have documentation of the affair. The timeline. Her own text messages where she discusses Oliver. It severely weakens her position. What happens now? Mediation in 2 weeks. I recommend you stay firm. Don't negotiate out of guilt. I won't. But the guilt was there. Not for the divorce, not for cutting support, but for her father. He was dying in a facility he didn't want to be in because his daughter had garbage judgment, and I'd stopped being her safety net. I sent $5,000 to the facility anonymously, enough to upgrade his care for a couple months. I didn't tell anyone. Didn't want credit. Just wanted him comfortable in his final time. It wasn't about Denise. It was about a sick old man who'd always been kind to me and didn't deserve to suffer because his daughter was selfish. The mediation was brutal. Denise showed up looking exhausted. Her hair was different, shorter, like she'd cut it herself, which she might have. Her attorney was aggressive, pushing hard on the narrative that I'd abandoned her in her time of need, that I'd weaponized financial control to punish her for expressing her feelings. That's literally how they framed it. Expressing her feelings. Like telling your husband you found your soulmate is just healthy communication. Mr. Walsh dismantled that in about 10 minutes. Bank records showing 12 years of me covering everything. Her employment history with gaps measured in years, not months. Text messages, her own text messages, where she discussed her soul connection with Oliver while simultaneously planning weekend trips on my credit cards. One message literally said, "I feel so free with you," followed 2 minutes later by a purchase notification for a $200 scarf. You can't make this stuff up. Her attorney tried several more angles. All failed. By the end, Denise was crying. Not manipulative tears this time, genuine broken tears. The kind you cry when you finally realize the mess you're in is entirely your own making. I didn't feel victorious, just tired. The settlement was simple. She got her personal belongings and $5,000. I kept everything else. No spousal support, clean break. She signed with shaking hands. Outside the office, she stopped me. "Can we talk? Just for a minute." I checked my watch. "I have 5 minutes." We sat on a bench. She looked smaller somehow, like the last month had physically diminished her. "I'm sorry," she said. "I know that doesn't fix anything, but I need to say it. I was selfish. I convinced myself I deserved more without appreciating what I had." "Okay, that's it? Just okay? What do you want me to say, Denise? That I forgive you? That we can fix this?" "We can't. You burned that bridge when you decided I was replaceable. Oliver was a fantasy. I know that now. He stopped answering my calls after the second week." "I know." She looked up. "How?" "Because people who talk about authenticity and not caring about material things are usually the first ones gone when things get hard." "I told you that." "You did." She wiped her eyes. "I got a second job. Nights at a warehouse. I'm trying to save up to move Dad to a better facility." "That's good. The state place is bad. He's lost 15 pounds. Doesn't recognize me half the time." I didn't mention the anonymous payment. Didn't want her to know. "I'm sorry he's suffering," I said. And I meant it. "Are you?" "Because you could fix this with one phone call." "No, I couldn't. Because fixing it means enabling you. And I'm done doing that." She stood up. "You've become so hard. I've become clear. There's a difference." She walked away without looking back. I sat there for a while watching traffic, thinking about 12 years of being whatever Denise needed me to be. Provider, supporter, safety net, scapegoat, and how in the end, none of it mattered. Because I was never actually what she wanted. Just what was convenient until something shinier came along. My phone buzzed. Text from my buddy Jake asking if I wanted to grab food. "Yeah," I texted back. "I'm free. Free. Accurate word for it. Okay, hold on." Before we wrap this up, I want to point something out that nobody in this story acknowledged. This man, quietly, anonymously, sent $5,000 to upgrade the care of a father-in-law whose daughter just blew up his entire life. No credit, no announcement, just did it because the old man was kind to him once. Meanwhile, Denise is out here calling him heartless and cruel. You know who's actually heartless? The woman who tanked her father's medical stability because she met a photographer at an art show and thought that was love. Oliver, by the way, lasted exactly as long as the credit cards did. Coincidence? Nah, that's a feature, not a bug. Anyway, here's how it all ended up. Final update. 6 months later, the divorce was final. Got the papers in the mail on a Tuesday, signed, sealed, done. 12 years reduced to a legal document. I didn't feel sad, didn't feel relieved, just felt like closing a book I should have put down years ago. Work was good. I'd taken on a new project at the firm, something that actually challenged me for the first time in years. Spent my evenings however I wanted. Stayed late at the office some nights just because I felt like it. Not because I was avoiding tension at home. Saw friends when I felt like it. Started going to this sandwich place near my office on Fridays that I'd always wanted to try but never did, because Denise thought deli food was beneath us. Their pastrami was incredible. Little things like that. Lived in my own space without tiptoeing through emotional minefields every day. It was quiet, but it was mine. 3 weeks after the final papers, I ran into Denise at a gas station. Pure coincidence. She was pumping gas into an old sedan I didn't recognize. She saw me, froze for a second, then nodded. I nodded back. We didn't speak, just acknowledged each other existed, and went back to our separate lives. She looked different. Thinner, older, tired in a way that went deeper than just being physically exhausted. I wondered if she ever thought about Oliver, about how 12 days of fantasy had cost her 12 years of stability. Probably, but that wasn't my problem anymore. I finished filling up, got back in my car, and drove home. That night, Jake called. How you doing? Good, actually. Yeah, ran into Denise today. Didn't feel anything. No anger, no regret, just nothing. That's growth, man. Maybe it was. Or maybe it was just acceptance. That some people will take everything you offer and still look elsewhere. That you can build someone a comfortable life and they'll resent you for it. That being someone's safety net doesn't earn loyalty, just dependency. A week later, I heard through mutual friends that Denise's father had passed. I sent flowers to the funeral home anonymously. One last gesture for a man who'd been kind to me when he didn't have to be. I didn't attend the service. That chapter was closed. Life moved forward. I dated occasionally. Nothing serious yet. Met a woman at a work event who laughed at something I said. Genuinely laughed, not the polite kind. And I realized I couldn't remember the last time Denise had done that. We exchanged numbers. Maybe something would come of it. Maybe not. Wasn't in a rush. Focused on work, on friends, on building something that was actually mine instead of constantly propping up someone else's dreams. Jake and I started a Wednesday night tradition. Burgers at this place near his apartment. Just talking about nothing important. It was nice having a routine that existed because I wanted it, not because someone else needed something from me. Sometimes I thought about those 12 years. About the warning signs I'd ignored. The red flags I'd explained away. The patterns I'd enabled because it was easier than confronting the truth. Like how she never once asked about my day. Not really. Or how every conversation eventually circled back to what she needed, what she wanted, what she was feeling. I was the audience for her life, never the co-star. Wouldn't make those mistakes again. Not because I was bitter, but because I finally understood my own value. And I wasn't interested in being with anyone who didn't see it too. The house felt different now, not empty, just spacious. Room to exist without constantly calculating someone else's emotional temperature. I'd spent 12 years being what Denise needed. Provider, supporter, solution to every problem. Now I was just myself. And that was enough. More than enough, actually. Denise found her soulmate and lost everything chasing him. I lost my wife and found myself. In the end, I got the better deal. And I knew it. So, would you have handled it the same way? Or would you have given her more time? Drop it in the comments. Curious what you guys think. Look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend this guy didn't go scorched earth. He did. But let's be real. When your wife of 12 years tells you over chicken that she found her soulmate, a photographer she's known for less than 2 weeks, and then expects you to keep writing checks while she explores that? Nah, you don't negotiate with that. You reorganize your finances and let reality be the teacher. The part that gets me is Oliver vanishing the instant things got inconvenient. Almost like authenticity has an expiration date when there's no credit card attached to it. Weird how that works. Drop your take in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button. Next story's even crazier.